Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we dive deep into real-life health and survival stories, the kind that make you stop and think about your own life. Today, I'm sharing something personal, something that still gives me chills when I think about it. It's called How a Weekend BBQ Sent Me to the ICU. You might think a casual backyard grill out is all fun and games, burgers flipping, laughs with friends, that smoky aroma filling the air. But for me, it turned into a nightmare that landed me fighting for my life in intensive care. Stick around because this story isn't just about what happened to me, it's a wake-up call that could save you from the same fate. And hey, if you've ever gotten a little queasy after a cookout, type BBQ in the comments right now. Let's see how many of us have been there. It was supposed to be the highlight of my summer. Picture this, a sunny Saturday afternoon in July, my backyard buzzing with energy. Friends and family gathered around, kids running through the sprinkler, and music playing softly in the background. I'd been looking forward to this BBQ for weeks. I love hosting. It's my way of unwinding after a stressful work week. I had the grill fired up, coals glowing hot, and I was manning it like a pro. Burgers, chicken, hot dogs, the works. Sides like potato salad and coleslaw are chilling in bowls on the picnic table. Everyone was chatting, plates piling high. I remember flipping those burgers, feeling the heat on my face and thinking, this is living. But in my rush to keep the food coming, I didn't double check if everything was cooked through. You know how it is. The grill's crowded, people are hungry, and you just assume it's fine. That one oversight, it set off a chain reaction I never saw coming. But what happened next scared me even more. At first, I brushed it off as too much sun or maybe one too many cold drinks. The party wrapped up around evening, everyone heading home with full bellies and smiles. I felt a little off, a twinge in my stomach, some nausea creeping in. Probably just overate, I told myself. I cleaned up and went to bed early, figuring a good night's sleep would fix it. But by midnight, things escalated. Cramps hit like waves, sharp and unrelenting. I was up every hour, rushing to the bathroom with diarrhea that wouldn't quit. Sweat beaded on my forehead, even though the AC was blasting. Morning came and it was worse. Fever spiking, chills shaking my body. I tried to power through, sipping water and popping some over-the-counter meds. Didn't want to admit something was wrong. You might think it won't happen to you, that it's just a minor upset, but ignoring those signs, that's when the real trouble starts. Type ignore in the comments if you've ever downplayed feeling sick like I did. Then came the moment I hit the floor. It was Sunday afternoon, about 24 hours after the BBQ. I'd been trying to rest on the couch, but the pain intensified. Bloody diarrhea now. Scary stuff. My vision blurred, and my legs felt like jelly. I stood up to get more water, and bam! Dizziness overwhelmed me. I collapsed right there in the living room, heart pounding, barely able to call out. My wife heard the thud and rushed in, her face pale with panic. "What's wrong? Talk to me," she yelled, dialing 911. Paramedics arrived fast, strapping me to a stretcher, IV line in my arm. Dehydration had set in hard. My body was shutting down. In the ambulance, they asked about what I had eaten. "BBQ yesterday," I mumbled. That's when I realized this wasn't just a stomach bug. It was something serious, something from that innocent gathering. And the ride to the hospital, it felt like an eternity. Waking up in the ER was terrifying. Bright lights, beeps everywhere, nurses hustling around. They ran tests, blood work, stool samples, the whole 9 yards. I was hooked onto monitors with fluids pumping into me. The doctor came in, a serious look on his face. "It looks like severe food poisoning, likely E. coli from undercooked meat at your BBQ." My heart sank. How could something so simple go so wrong? Symptoms had progressed fast. The bacteria was producing toxins that were attacking my kidneys. Blood tests showed rising creatinine levels, signs of acute kidney injury. They called it hemolytic uremic syndrome, or HUS, a complication where red blood cells get destroyed, clogging the kidneys. "We need to move you to the ICU," he explained. Helpless, alone, scared. That's how I felt being wheeled down those sterile halls, not knowing if I'd make it out. The doctor sat me down and dropped the truth bomb once I was stable enough to talk. Well, as stable as you can be in ICU with tubes everywhere. He explained it all in simple terms based on what happened to me. At your BBQ, if the burgers weren't cooked to at least 160 degrees, bacteria like E. coli can survive. It thrives in ground meat, and cross-contamination from raw juices to other foods makes it worse. In my case, I probably didn't separate the raw and cooked stuff properly, a common mistake. The toxins from the bacteria led to the bloody diarrhea, then the kidney strain. He stressed it wasn't rare. People end up in hospitals every summer from similar slip-ups. No lectures, just facts from my experience. You're lucky we caught it early, he added, but hearing that made me rethink every cookout I'd ever had. That's when I realized how preventable this was. In the ICU, I wasn't the only one battling this. The place was full of stories that mirrored mine, making the days less lonely but more eye-opening. There was Mike in the bed next to me, a guy in his 40s who'd been at a family picnic. He confessed he'd left the mayo-based potato salad out in the heat too long, leading to salmonella. Thought it was fine, he whispered one night. Ended up with a fever so high he hallucinated. His recovery was slow with antibiotics and constant monitoring. Then there was Sarah, a young mom across the way. She'd eaten a rare steak at a friend's grill out, not knowing it carried the same E. coli risk. Her symptoms hit her kids too, but mildly. She bore the brunt, with dehydration landing her here. Never again, she said, tears in her eyes. And old Mr. Thompson, from contaminated veggies at a community BBQ. Washed them wrong, he admitted. These mini-stories bonded us, shared confessions of oversight. We swapped tips and encouraged each other through the pain. Share your food scare story below. Type "story" if you've got one. It might help someone else. Recovery wasn't quick or easy. Days blurred into a haze of beeps and blood draws. In the ICU, I needed dialysis for a bit. My kidneys weren't filtering right. Pain from cramps lingered and exhaustion weighed me down. The emotional toll was huge. I'd cry thinking about my family waiting outside. But patience, persistence, gratitude, that's what got me through. I learned to listen to my body, no more ignoring signals. And food safety, it became my mantra. Check temps, separate raw and cooked, and wash everything. Even after discharge, the scars remained. Even after discharge, the scars remained, not just physical, but mental too. I was out after a week in the ICU, but follow-up stretched for months. Kidney function improved, but I had to monitor it closely. No more casual grilling. Now I use a thermometer every time. I changed my habits big time. More hydration, a balanced diet, and stress management. Talking to experts post-incident, I picked up tips like pre-cooking meats partially indoors to ensure safety, or use separate platters for raw and grilled items. In my experience, these little changes make all the difference. But the real shift was in perspective. Life's fragile. One weekend slip-up nearly took it all. You might think you're invincible at a BBQ, but trust me, you're not. That's when I realized the true cost of carelessness. Looking back, that BBQ taught me a lesson I'll never forget. What started as laughter and good food ended in tubes, fear, and regret. But it didn't have to. If I'd just taken those extra minutes to cook properly, use separate tools, and keep things cool, I might have avoided the ICU altogether. The life lesson? Prioritize safety in the everyday moments. Don't wait for a crisis to hit. Be aware, be prepared, be safe. If this story resonated, hit that like button, subscribe for more real confessions, and share it with a friend who loves grilling. You could save a life. And drop your takeaway in the comments. What's one thing you'll change at your next BBQ? Thanks for listening to my story. Stay healthy out there.